Hello and welcome to Legato Short Topic Training videos. These videos provide a quick look at various Legato features and functionality. This is the first of 4 videos on program flow control. The 4 videos are program entry, conditionals, loops, and exiting. One of the first questions I have as a developer is, how does a program start? What's its entry point? Where does it begin to execute lines of code? In this video, we'll discuss that. We can begin the discussion with flow. All programs have flow, in other words, an order that things are going to be executed. And then there's a point at where a script or a program will start or end. And as a programmer, you decide on what sections of the program get run under what conditions. In the simplest kind of old school way of looking at it, I have a flowchart. I'll start a program that will get something. It'll then do something to that particular data. It'll then decide whether or not it's done doing whatever it's doing, whether it's running through a database or perhaps monitoring something. If it's not done, it'll return or loop and come back and then repeat the process, perhaps with variations. If it is done, then we leave. Legato has been designed to be a scripting language, meaning it's very easy to use. Therefore, you have this notion of a free-flowing program, where I don't have to have formal definitions on entry points. You also have a default entry point, so if I kind of step up and say I want to have something that's a little more structured, I can then have a default entry point, which is generally main or entry. I can also have a script that's called by other scripts, so I can enter on any defined routine, and that can also be an entry point. In addition, I can have a defined hook. In other words, I define an entry point or a routine that's then connected to the application. And then finally, there are events, whether they're procedures from a dialog or, say, an event from a view, like onPosition or add an entry to a database, things like that. A free-flowing script starts at the first global statement and ends after the last global statement executes. It can also be forced to exit any time during the execution. On the other hand, a structured flow program starts at a specified entry point and then ends at the last closing point of that particular function. Functions and the script can be forced to stop at any time, or to exit or to return to whoever called it. This is an example of a free-flowing script. When the engine starts, if it doesn't find a main or a default entry point, it simply executes the first global statement it finds, in this case to get the local time. It'll then continue to execute a message box, and then exit when there's nothing left to do. Just because a program is free-flowing doesn't mean it can't have functions. The only caveat is that you must have the first executing statements before any functions. In this case, I'm going to prototype a particular item. I'll then call the display with the date, and then I have my display routine, and I achieve the same result. When free flow is employed, all the statements have to be before all the functions. Anything that's left afterwards is going to be considered an orphan statement. So in this example here, I'll see the same with a subroutine, but I have this extra message box at the end called cat, which is an orphan. If I run this, it'll run and tell me the local time. When I press OK, the program will exit, but it has a warning. And that warning is that there's global information here that did not get run. There's a global statement that did not get executed. In a structured example, I'll have a main function, int main. Basically, you can return anything back. You could also return a string, etc., but I'm just going to simply have no return value. And in this case, the script will find the main function and then perform the exact same tasks. Now, the main entry point can be located anywhere within the script. It can be at the bottom, it can be in an include file, it doesn't matter. It'll just simply sort out which function is named main and then execute that function first. And then finally, there has to be a free flow entry point or a defined entry point. If I move over here and call this mains and then execute, you'll see I'll actually get an error. And that error results because there's no program entry point found. So to review then, we have the free-flowing aspect where the script just simply finds the first global statement and executes till it runs out of things to do. In a structured mode, I'll have a main definition a statement, and those statements can actually call other functions, which of course is true on the free flow as well. So structured gives you a little more control. It's more defined with respect to how it works. It's more like C or C++, whereas the free flow is more like a simple script. And then finally, any hook or other particular function can be executed by any script or the application so long as it knows the name of that function. For events, those are predefined names. That's in the documentation. For dialog boxes where there's a procedure, it's going to have a prefix attached to a predefined name. And of course, any script can call any other script at a particular function name. So when you structure that way, everything is done by function names. The only important predefined function name when you start a script is main or entry. And again, that's defined in the documentation. You can find more information within the reference manual. And that concludes part 1 of Program Flow. Thanks for watching.